Hello and welcome to Women Who Heal. I'm your host Natalie Ryan-Hebert, and today's guest Maia Holmes is here to talk with us about her PMDD journey. Maia spent over 3 decades battling the emotional and physical toll of undiagnosed PMDD. Dismissed by doctors and drained by despair, everything changed when she discovered the Red Tent program. In just weeks, Maia healed at the root, reclaimed her self-worth, and transformed her life. And now she helps others do the same. Hello, Maia. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got up nice and early to meet us, so thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So I often ask before we sort of dive into your story, one way to say is like, what would you write across the sky if you could? Or what do you think people are going to get out of this conversation today from your story, just to give them a heads up? What do you want everyone to know?
I think I would say that, having the awareness that you do not have to live with the programming that you grew up with. You don't have to continue to live with the same thinking in your mind that is maybe sabotaging you or preventing you from living your best life.
Yeah, so true. So you're quite unique on the podcast so far, because most of the women I've interviewed so far have worked with me one-to-one, but you just did the online, and I won't say just did the online program because there's so much in it, and if you really commit to doing and following through with everything, it's life-changing, as you can attest to. So I'm really interested to hear your story, because this is the first time, well, maybe not, I think we've met once before, but I haven't worked with you one-to-one.
Right.
Yeah, you probably feel you know me quite well because I was teaching you all the time on video,
Exactly.
So I want to hear all about your story now that we're on the other side, how you found me in the first place, where you were at, what happened. Just fill us all in.
Sure. Well, I've been suffering from PMDD since I got a period, so at 13, and I didn't know that that's what was going on with me at all.
Mm,
And I'll kind of just shorten that, I've been having struggles my entire life, not really realizing that this was an actual issue. And it all kind of came to a head last summer. My symptoms were getting worse and worse. And my mother heard a podcast that you were on,
mhm.
and was as desperate as I was, and I was at my wit's end with everything. And she said, "Why don't you take a listen? This might be something that is helpful for you." So I did listen to the podcast, and I was very intrigued. I was a little skeptical, but I was very intrigued. And from there, I went on your website and I saw the Red Tent program. Um, and I thought, you know what? I have tried every single thing there is. Let's go ahead and try this. I will try the online recorded classes first. And if that doesn't work, I was going to reach out to do one-on-one sessions with you. So that's
Mm,
kind of
mhm,
how that started for me. That was last August, I believe. Yeah,
yeah.
that happened.
That's given me goosebumps, actually, because now here you are on a podcast.
I
and
know.
and there are going to be women who now hear your story and go and have the same thing. It's a pay it forward moment. It's really, really cool.
Really.
Yeah. So here you are. So yeah, imagine hearing this podcast and then taking this leap of faith, thinking, well, I've got nothing to lose. I've tried everything else. And what sort of, I mean, gosh, since you were 13, or I don't know how old you were when you first started your period, but that's a long time. That's a
Yeah.
real, no wonder, and you can see why it's called PMDD warrior, because wow, every month you got to just go through it again and then pick up the
Yeah.
pieces, and then dread that it's coming back again. It's really, really hard going. Um, what were your symptoms like? Because it's a little different for everybody.
Yeah. So for me, I would describe it to people as if I was walking along the street and everything was fine. I was completely happy with my life and thinking clearly, and everything was correct. And then it would almost feel like to me a sinkhole would appear in my path. And it would just, and I'm like, I could feel it coming. So I knew, I'm like, oh, I think we're starting to enter the sinkhole. That's kind of what I would
Mm,
call it. And then without much timing, everything would just melt and go downhill, and I would sink into that hole. So it
mm,
was like my thinking would just get darker and darker and darker. I would become very, very depressed. um my thinking would turn into hopeless thinking, so where I was fine and normal about certain basic things, that when a PMDD episode would hit, it would turn dire, it would turn completely negative focused. It won't work out, any negative connotation to what I was dealing with, that was what would emerge.
mm, mm,
I would be completely crying, very teary-eyed, very short temper. So I would snap at people and just, I almost felt like there was an undercurrent of rage, but I
mm,
couldn't tell
mm,
you where it came from. I
mm,
just knew I was wildly angry,
mm.
and but then I also knew that was bad, so then that would make me sad and I would cry about that. It just didn't.
Compounded.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and on top of that, I would have physical symptoms as well. So I would have really sore breasts and cramping and my terrible migraines. I actually used to say I'm allergic to my period. I would get hives,
Wow.
just terrible. But I would want to completely withdraw from society and
Mm.
friends, people. It was very, very difficult for me to have relationships, romantic relationships, because I was always trying to hide
Yeah, yeah.
this.
Well, no one, it requires so much vulnerability to allow anyone to see you that way. You barely can bear to look at yourself as it is.
Could not. I would stand in
Like,
the mirror and just look at myself and cry. And I did
mm,
have suicidal ideation. That is
mm,
real.
yeah.
And about every month, I would go into why am I even alive? This is crazy.
Mm,
I
mm,
hate this. I don't like being here, those kinds of things. But
yeah.
then, once the siege was over, I would wake up and go, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine,
Yeah.
which then throws you're mentally, you are feel like you've been in a ricochet. It's like you're whiplashed
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the role of the moods. So it was very exhausting.
Oh, yeah. For
Taking all the way
sure.
up and then taking all the way deep down and then back up again. It's just every month. And I realized I was having, when I counted back, I actually broke down in tears because I realized I'd had 10 good days a month. After I
Mm,
did your program, I counted because I had never done that before. No doctor had ever really taken the time to um, monitor my symptoms or help me monitor my symptoms or even tell me what it is. Most doctors just told me it was bad PMS and to take birth
yeah.
control.
And they just don't have the time, unfortunately. The system just can't afford it. Um,
No, yeah,
so it's not really a solution going to the doctor. You can try for maybe a band-aid that might work for a little while, um, but that's the most you can expect to get.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, so that sounds horrible, and
It was.
and and sadly familiar. I hear these stories all the time. This is my work, and I can relate so much. I mean, you described it perfectly. That's exactly what it feels like. I used to say it was like my blood was turning to tears, like it's just
Yes.
physical, yeah, a dark hole, and then the dread of it coming. Then you're in it, feeling completely justified about every awful thought that you're
Yes.
having. It's just true. Like there's no other way to see it, and then you come out of it and you think, what on earth was that?
Yeah.
And then there's all the shame that you ever let yourself maybe say things you said or think the things you said or react how you did. Oh, what a gauntlet. So yeah, you can imagine now you're on the other side why I was so why I realized, well, I can't just leave everyone back in the fire. I know a way out. I understand what this is actually really about. Um,
Exactly.
one angle at least. I know there's many facets to it, but I think it certainly changed my life. And I thought, if it changed mine, it can change others. And it has hundreds of people.
Hundreds.
It's wonderful. I already feel like if I left the planet tomorrow, I could sort of go, that was a good effort. I made a difference while I was there. Um, so then you started the program, and I'm really interested to know because you said at the beginning these beliefs that we have kind of run our behavior, and they run in the background, and we're not really conscious of them either. Yet we believe them completely.
Hmm.
What did you had this? You mentioned to me before you had this first session, the first guided hypnotherapy session, and what did you? Means what did you uncover? What became apparent to you?
Well, I gotta say, I'm a very huge advocate of therapy, and I've been in therapy on and off since I've been 16.
Hmm.
So I wasn't unfamiliar, with the therapy space. So that was another reason why it drew me to this work. I thought, oh, okay, it's a different form of therapy. Let's try. And I I thought I had resolved many of my issues, right, over the course of the years. So I was kind of mystified when at the beginning of the program, you discuss it's going to be hypnosis and, things are going to come up from your subconscious. And I guess was actively thinking, well, what is going to come up? I mean, what I've dealt with everything. I cannot possibly think what this could be. And I did have some ideas in my mind going in, but once I was under hypnosis, three completely wildly different scenes than what I even thought. These were things that I had no waking memory of.
Mm,
And I did confirm if they were true, and they were. But I was shocked. I was shocked at what came up
mm,
for me. And they were all scenes from my very early childhood.
mm,
Um, and it informed me in such a way that I learned very early on that I was very different than everybody around me.
mm,
I learned that I did not belong,
mm,
and I learned that I didn't feel good enough. So all three things really kind of came up in different scenes, and that was shocking to me. It was
mm.
heartbreaking, but heart opening at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, and I did not realize the significance. I really had no concept that an interaction that I would have had in
Mm,
preschool would have
mm.
informed my decision making today, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
45 years later. Like, what?
Wow.
How is that even possible? But that's exactly what was going on.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And you know, that's where we're laying down our foundation for life. We come in as little babies, and we have this task in front of us. Who do I need to be loved, to belong, and to be safe in this world? Let the training begin. And life
Yeah,
starts to train you, and you go, right, I'm going to create the program that's going to keep me alive.
yeah,
And sometimes that program gets some beliefs put in that say there's a wound first, and then there's always a coping strategy. So the wound will be I don't belong, and so I'm going to have to, and it might
right.
be I'm going to have to be people pleasing. I'm going to have to be extraordinary if I'm going to be noticed, or I'm going to have to hide myself away so no one sees how different and weird I am. We all come up with different
Exactly.
mechanisms, and that's why it's so unique to each person. But even in the guided sessions, it doesn't matter how different you are, you have this revelation come to you. There's space for you to have that understanding come forth. So you have the wound, and then you have what am I going to do about the wound?
Yeah,
Now I have to sort of go through life with this this truth in inverted commas about myself. I'm not worthy, or I'm not lovable, or I'm not capable, or I don't belong. Um, and then there's the coping strategy. And it
Hmm.
becomes like a shell that we have
Hmm.
to, because it's not really us. And we know it isn't. We know we're just playing a role. And
Exactly.
and that's really, depression is so often, and Jim Carrey said this once, and I've seen it several times on the internet, that depression is just your soul saying F you to the avatar you demanded that it play. It's like, that's not even me. So,
Right.
what's the point of even being alive, as you said, if I can't even be me? If I
Yeah,
don't get to be me, if I have to just put a mask and play this role that I think I have to be, of course that's depressing.
exactly.
Um, and also just hearing your own internal chatter tell you that you're not good enough all day long is pretty depressing as well. Yeah, so you get this, and you said I learned, but really it's like I started to believe this erroneous, incorrect thing. It's the best interpretation I could make of things at the time with my little brain, and I
Hmm.
kept it as the truth until,
Hmm.
and then the truth continued that I thought was true, continued to find confirmation of itself.
Yeah. It also made sense to me, once it was established that, okay, these patterns have been in my brain and running on the background for how many years. And I think you mentioned in the program, I believe it's in the hypnosis. You made that connection when you were little. You made that connection when you were like 3, 5, 7. And when you think about that cognitively as an adult, you're thinking, oh my God, I would never, as an adult, you would never
Come to
take
that conclusion, yeah.
something from a 3-year-old child and think that that was the truth. I mean, in your own mind, you
Mhm,
wouldn't, you
mhm.
go, well, no, I had limited verbal skills at this time. I had very limited understanding, but this thing has been running the program. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
that was very wide, eye-opening for me.
yeah.
Eye-opening for me in a big way.
Yeah, just to be able to look at what is this program, and to be able to make changes to it. Most people never do.
Yeah,
Majority of people go, "There's my program. That's just who I am. I'm just unlucky. Men are assholes," or whatever the belief,
right.
and the projection onto the world that happens as a result as well. Um, so So you had that first, so the first session was a powerful session for you, and you had all these revelations of, all this time I thought I was different, all this time I thought I wasn't good enough. Um, and what happened? Because within the session, it's sort of, I don't just leave you with this, oh, I believed I was unlovable or different, or we also within the session have to, there has to be a revelation, there has to be a, oh my god, that's not even true. And my job in these sessions is to get you to see that that was a misinterpretation of a little child, who isn't you anymore, and
Right.
their plan for your life has been running you ever since. For you to be able to come in as the adult now, like you said, I would never think that now, which is good. And Einstein says, you can never fix a problem with the same level of awareness with which it was created. And I
Yeah,
think that's so relevant to RTT, because
100%.
you don't fix it at the level of awareness you had as a child. You bring it in and go, "Oh, darling, let me tell you, that's
Exactly.
that's not it. That's not true."
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and you're able
100%.
to do that because you trust yourself. The little child in you trusts grown-up you. So who better to tell them the truth than you?
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think the thing with children is, oh, I know this, that children are very egocentric. Everything is, the world, it revolves around a child. Everything's for me. Oh, look, the moon's following us, mum.
Right, right.
No, you're not that special, darling. Like, I've never said that out loud. But that, a child will think the moon is following me.
Right.
And the other thing about children is they don't like their parents to be imperfect. That doesn't feel safe. They prefer to take the hit themselves. They prefer to say, Mummy must be right, or Daddy must be right. My parents must be fine and perfect. So I must be the problem.
Right.
And never thinking for a second that they could have got their parents wounded, that their parents came to them with a whole lot of baggage they didn't realize they had,
Exactly.
which you do see when you're older. You go, oh, damn. Yeah. Oh, my mother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Welcome to
my
adulthood, right?
dad. Yeah. And that's the understanding that sort of sets you free and sets your parents free as well. I think what's wonderful is you're not left blaming. It's
No,
seen
it's a
as a
kind of
part.
release. It's like, not that I've been living in a prison, but there has been some kind of a cage, right, around anyone suffering from PMDD. You've got kind of a cage around your life that you
Mm,
didn't really necessarily actively choose to put there.
mm,
So
mm.
trying to operate from this cage is horrible. So once that becomes lifted, it's like, oh my God, wow, this is all I have, all this available to me now that I didn't think I had because I have this issue.
Mm, mm.
That's life changing. That's
Yeah,
life
what am I
changing
going to
stuff.
do with all that headspace that I used to have put aside for self-loathing?
I know, right? I'm like, now I do creative, positive things with that. But,
Yeah, yeah.
for
So,
me, once I was, once I completed your program, I really was like, I have to be able to help other people with this because I cannot believe that this has worked for me. My brain was on fire about it. I couldn't believe it. I was so
yeah,
excited.
yeah. It's just how I felt too. I just thought I mean, I had it a little different to you. I came into training into this methodology and other things too, the metacognitive psychology that's within the program, just because I was drawn to it. I'm just uh, I just love the deeper workings of things. So it was just like moth to the flame when I saw Marissa Peer training and
Uh-huh.
offering it. I just went, oh, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. But I never went into it thinking this is going to heal me. This is the answer for me. I wasn't really thinking about myself at the time.
Interesting.
Um, and just through the training, all the symptoms started to resolve, and I went, "Wow, hang on a second, this is
Oh,
working on me as I'm practicing and learning." And that's when I realized I need to create a program. And so you had a similar thing happen where your PMDD resolved through my program, and then you
yes.
went, "No, I need to learn how did she do that? I need to learn."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I reckon there must be 30, 35, maybe more clients who've gone on to train in RTT in the same way you have,
Oh,
after
wow.
working with me, like, because it was just, I can't do anything else now after this. I need
Yeah.
to yeah, do this. So go on and continue your story.
Oh, sure. No, but after the first session, I think, well, before I did your program, I was curious about what RTT was. So I actually Googled Marissa Peer and I Googled on YouTube, there was like a very loose hypnosis session that she does with a bunch of people. So I thought, oh, well, let me watch this and see if this even works because I don't even know if I'm suggestible. So
Yeah.
I did it and it worked. And I thought, okay. And right after I did that, then I started your program like that, like 5 minutes later.
Wow.
And and I went into a room and I did the first section, and there I it was almost, I can't explain it other than there was a click. There was a some kind of a click, and it was almost like I could feel it in my body. Something shifted quickly and lifted, and it was off of me. And when I walked out of the room, it was like my face was glowing. My mother was like, "What happened in there? What just?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I feel completely different. I feel completely different."
Mm,
And I almost cried with joy. I really did because I couldn't explain what just happened, but I knew that something was different. That's all I knew from that first session. And then obviously I completed the rest of the program. And the hypnosis, I listened to all of them I listened to the hypnosis for about 65 days because I was
Mm.
so obsessed with it. I loved it so much. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking, you're going to be healed from this, so that you need to follow and then go over above what she said. Just go do it all.
Mm.
And I still listen to them to this day, to be honest. So, um, but it's almost like if I was on a pedestal facing a certain direction, it is like that program came and completely turned me a whole different direction. And I could see that I have free range of movement now. I see that I have access to all the directions. I see that I can step on the podium or step off the podium. Whereas before, I just felt like I was kind of frozen in place, and there were no other options for me.
Mm.
And I could also see very clearly I had very bad habit of negative self-talk. It was brutal, and I did not realize how severe it had been. It was. And that completely has changed. I wake up every day now. Um, and even when my thoughts, when I'm kind of just drifting off to nothing, all I hear in my brain is everything is working out for me even better than I imagined. That's just kind of
Mm.
running
That's
now.
a
That's
great
my
one.
background program.
Mm.
And never in a million years did I ever think that way at all.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
great one.
yeah.
Even better than I imagined. It's sort of like surprise me, universe.
Exactly. So I'm like, I know everything's working out, but it's going to work out even better. And I got to
Yeah.
tell you, things have been.
Yeah. So that's what I
So,
want to
so it
hear
works.
now. We've heard how you were in that sinkhole, right? And
Yeah.
then you did the program, you had this something was just different. Your mother saw it, something's changed. It's a physical change. It's like, who needs Botox when you've got rapid transformational therapy? Because
No,
you just get,
really.
you get lighter and lighter and lighter. It's like you begin to glow, like I don't
Yes,
even know, I can't even explain it, but it's like your spirit starts to shine through your cells brighter without all this heavy
it's true.
stuff or something. Because people often say, and I notice on myself, even when I'm doing the sessions with other people, I get into this sort of trancy state as well. And then I'm talking all about love and forgiveness and rescuing the inner child and you're born worthy, nothing's changed, and life
Yeah,
wants you here, and all these things that I'm saying on repeat all the time. So I'm getting it too. And it just lights you up. It
a
lights you
hundred
up from
percent.
inside. Um, so I want to hear everything. So after that, and you've had this beautiful metaphor, you're no longer this stuck statue
Uh-huh.
in one direction to go. It's like you're on a pedestal and you can go in any direction.
Yeah,
What started to change? What is it now? It's coming up to a year nearly, like ten months or so since you did the program.
yeah.
What's happened since?
Oh my goodness. Well, I do have to revisit. There's an exercise that you introduced in the program very early on, the armchair exercise,
Yeah.
and I use that daily still. That was so helpful for me because I have lots of ruminating thoughts. I have a very active mind, and I think a lot, and it doesn't slow itself down. So having that tool was one of the most critical tools, I think, for me in this process.
Mm.
But I implement all of the things that I learned that I took away from the program. I every single day. Like you said, I started to glow. People were noticing, oh my gosh, you have this glow about you. You look amazing. And I'm like, well, thank you. I felt amazing. I felt great. I think I did have a glow. I mean, my skin cleared up. I had more energy. All of a sudden, I started exercising. I've now lost weight. I'm in a much more positive and open-hearted space overall. My creativity has been off of the scale in terms of, I started setting up my own RTT practice now. So, all of the things, it just feels like it flows better. It feels like life flows better. And I feel so much more capable of handling the high seas and the low seas, whereas before I was petrified. Like if
Mm,
anything comes, if I get rocked in any way and it happens at the wrong time of the month, I'm going to be down for months. Like knowing that that is how I processed information was it was something that I hated looking forward to. It was something that I knew was going to happen, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't have negative news be brought to me during like these 25 days because I will now ruminate it for months on end. I'm going to be irate and furious about the situation, or I will be in a puddle of tears and unconsolable.
mm,
So,
mm.
um, all of those things have gone away, all of them. And I can now look at something, and even if something bothers me, it will bother me for an hour to maybe the maximum a day. And
Mm.
then I'm able to use the armchair technique. I'm able to get back to reality and see what's really going on. And yeah, the things that used to affect me just don't. I can't
Mm.
explain it. And I've seen, you know, I did this specifically for PMDD, that issue, but this has bled out into every single area of my life, improved every single area of my life. So
Yeah.
when that started to happen, I realized, oh my God, my beliefs and the agreements that I made have literally been affecting my work life, my how I value myself at work, how I show up at work, how I show up in a romantic relationship, how I show up in a friendship with my family, in the world. I just
Yeah.
it continued to be something that blew my mind, basically.
Yeah. I always say you come for the PMDD, but you leave with so, like, that was just a symptom. It wasn't even the problem. And
Yeah,
then you realize, wow, and I left with self-love, I left with self-respect, I left with self-trust, and that was the PMDD was the alarm bell going off telling me you don't have these things, you've lost
yeah,
it. How do we reclaim it? And PMDD is the alarm bell of your body and mind saying you're not connected to yourself. We need to sort this out. Um,
100%.
and to feel like, imagine say a year ago asking yourself, do you think you'll ever be grateful for PMDD? Like, there's no way you could imagine it. Grateful for this? No way. But when you think about it as an alarm that took you, you know,
Yeah.
it pushed you to a point where you had to find a way. Um,
I
yeah.
mean, I was having at that point, I was kind of, I had narrowed it down to two choices, and they're terrible to even discuss, but I was worrying about myself, how I was going to support myself, how I was going to live in the world. And I kept thinking, I'm going to have to put myself into a home because how I'm supposed to deal with this going forward in my life. Like if this is going to just get worse, then I don't want to be here. I cannot continue to live like this at
Mm,
all. So I understand when I read stories of women who have, committed suicide or have this suicidal ideation. I'm like 100% that's there. And it's
mm,
all
yeah.
happening in secret because you cannot tell anyone, right? I'm
Mm.
running a company and I'm crying hysterically before I go into my office. And then I have to pretend everything is fine.
Show
But
the
I'm
showcase, show off the
I'm white
money.
knuckling it through the day. I'm holding it together. And one thing or someone says something slightly off and I perceive it as a threat or, as some kind of an attitude, then it's like a match. It's like it just lights everything. It like starts to raise everything down,
Mm, mm,
engulfs it in flame. And so, but again, I would have to take a walk. I'd have to, I have a lump in my throat. It's like my senses are so heightened, but they're heightened all for the wrong things. And I didn't know.
mm.
Um,
Yeah, something's triggered off, and you don't realize it's a wound from the past. It just seems like, no,
Not
this
at all.
now is the problem, and that person is the problem, and you don't ever realize, no, this is hitting on something really painful from my past that I don't realize is there, and that's how it all heals when we go back and to the original trauma and we heal over the wound. And a wound just means I believe something about myself which is painful and not true.
Yeah.
Clearing that up, things don't hurt the way they used to.
No. And it just dawned on me, my physical symptoms have completely disappeared, which I
I was
think
going to
is
ask, that was my next thing. So
I
emotionally,
am
everything's different, and then the body speaks the mind, right? That so you had breast pain, breast soreness, um,
migraines, back
migraines.
pain, swelling, just feeling like a piece of garbage, really. I mean, laying all I could do was lay around the house and cry and eat. But
Mm,
I realized, and this just dawned on me right this second, actually, I lost weight, I exercise every day, I'm doing all the things. And I thought, but my eating habits have completely changed. I
mm,
don't drink alcohol anymore. I eat
mm,
completely, mostly a vegetarian diet. This is all natural. These are not things that I said, oh, I'm gonna get myself. I have a new eating diet. That never happened. It literally, this has all happened naturally. Things have just fallen away
mm, mm,
naturally, and I've been adopting things kind of naturally, new things.
mm.
And I thought about it, and I remember I was in the gym the other day, and I thought, why are you doing this? Because I love myself and I love my body.
Oh
That is why.
yeah,
And I want my body to continue to, you know, be strong for
yeah,
me. So, because I love it, and it all goes back to the self-love thing. And I was like, well, who knew?
yeah. Everything,
Wow.
everything comes out of it. Everything blossoms out of it. Yeah. So it's incredible, and it's all just alarm bells. It's just your body trying to say, you don't love yourself, don't you realize?
Yeah.
Come and find out why. Come on.
I
Yeah.
think even in relationships, I mean, I was in a very kind of toxic relationship that I was not able to leave for a very long time. And once the program finished, I was still talking to this individual, but it was like all of a sudden they were, it's like if your windshield has muck on it, you can't see, you can kind of see through, but it's always through this like gray film of
Mm-hmm.
muck on your windshield. After the program, it was like that completely was clear, crystal clear. I could see everything,
Hmm.
and I could see I had no business being involved with this individual because of the toxicity, and I loved myself, so why would I put myself in that situation? No.
Exactly.
That's the end of that. So, and it was very quick, and it didn't feel dramatic or, heart it wasn't, I mean, it was a little heartbreaking, but it was more matter of fact. It didn't become this horrible twisted thing. What do I do? How do I get out of this? How do I fix this? Da, da, da. Like some things can't be fixed,
It just fell
so
away. It fell away
just
like all the other things fell
continue.
away.
Yeah, it naturally did not
Yeah,
align with who I am
that's what it
anymore
is.
at
It's
all.
about what are you a match for? You're always going to the people in your life, every relationship is really a perfect match. There's a book in Danish, I can't remember the exact, but the translation of it is something like, this is why you can never fall in love with the wrong person. Because
Ah,
they're always going to be a teacher to you.
yeah,
Whatever attracts you to a person, they might be toxic, but in this moment they've got something to teach you, and until you
yeah.
wake up, it's going to
About yourself, about your
going to hurt
self-love.
you. So when you do this in a work and you realize you love yourself, then the match for you is someone who loves you,
Exactly.
instead of someone who can manipulate you and guilt trip
Exactly.
you and gaslight you and all those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
And
it's
that you would tolerate the fact that I would stay and tolerate that behavior said something about how I felt about me, didn't it?
yeah,
So
for sure.
now, now we don't tolerate that. No.
No,
And
the
it doesn't
bar
even
has.
occur, it doesn't even like cross it. That's like whatever those movie credits were, they don't play anymore, you know? That's kind of how I feel about it. So, And I know people use this term kind of a lot lately, like, oh, we jumped to a different timeline. But I really do feel like I jumped to a different timeline from RTT because I was literally operating, like we keep saying, from the programming from the age of 3, from the age of 5, from the age of 8. Those were my 3 scenes that those were the ages I was. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, wow, okay, so you have an 8-year-old brain is telling you, a 25-year-old, 30-year-old woman, how to operate with relationships and what's acceptable for you. Really? An 8-year-old child, Maya?
Mm.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah,
Yeah. It's really amazing.
amazing.
So I think we've come all the way through your story, your beginning to end, your heroine's journey. So I guess to finish up, I mean, there's someone just like you listening to a podcast
Oh
that
yeah.
someone sent her going, maybe you should listen to this, or maybe she searched PMDD and found it in Apple or Spotify, or perhaps one way or another, there's a woman listening to this right now.
Uh-huh.
Hello. And what do
Hello.
woman to woman, what do you want to tell her from your heart to her heart? This one who's just like you used to be.
I would say that this is not a life sentence. And to have an open mind, and if you have tried everything and it has not worked, if you're still struggling, just try it. You don't know something isn't for you until you try it. You don't know. And I tell everybody about this. I've been on Reddit, I've been on Facebook, I tell everyone. And most people don't know what PMDD is, but the ones that do, I'm like, you got to, if you don't have something that works for you, you need to try it. I am medication free. I don't have these problems
Mm.
anymore. Just because you don't know how something works doesn't mean it's not going to work. So I just encourage people to, heal yourself. It does come from the inside, and you will be surprised, but that's where it comes
Yeah.
from.
And I've made a path for you.
You did. You made an amazing path. I'm so happy I came across your program and
Thank you,
you.
Maya. I'm so glad you found it as well. It's my dream come true, um, and makes my life more worth worth living, or it makes me feel like, wow, every life that's changed is just something. When I get to the end, or even still now, I look back and think, this is just so amazing that my pain has been able to become something this beautiful that's been able to be shared with other people. It gives so much meaning to all the suffering, which is, I think, yeah.
100%. I'm so grateful to you. You've literally changed my life. So, when I emailed you just the thank you, I'm just so moved. I'm so touched, and I'm still so amazed by the program and how effective and how it continues to be effective for me and for many other people. So
Yeah. And there's a
thank
ripple
you.
effect through your whole life to come, and for all the lives you touch. It's like that. It's a wonderful life. Everyone's lives are touched by yours. In There's a ripple effect through
Exactly.
the world, and yeah, so that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your beautiful testimony.
Oh, you're
And
welcome.
yeah, and we'll keep in touch.
Definitely.
If you want
Thank
to
you so
find
much.
Maya, I'm going to get her to give a little bio, and because she also does RTT now, so you can look at her offerings too. And yeah, the healing is spreading, ripple effect.
Love it.
Thanks, Maya.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on Women Who Heal. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love it if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast. Your support helps us reach more women who might need this message of hope and healing. And don't forget to share this episode with anyone who could benefit from it, a friend, a sister, or someone in your community. You can follow me on Instagram at Natalie Ryan Hebert and at the Red Tent PMDD. I'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you there.